once again before you. Today we are going to start chapter number 7 in business studies for class 12 CBSE syllabus, that is directing. Right? And in today's session, what we are going to cover? Meaning, definition and features of directing. Alright? So without wasting much time, let's start. So friends, let's talk about meaning of directing. Okay, see, there are 5 functions of management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Means after exercising the 3 functions, which is planning, organizing, staffing, directing is exercised. We can say that directing is the link between these 3 functions and last function of management, that is controlling. Okay, and these 3 functions, planning, organizing, staffing, these are considered as preparatory functions of management. Why? Because these somewhere create a setup. We have already discussed in planning, the objectives are finalized, right? Plans are made, means how the things are going to be done. Okay, who will be doing them, what will be done, when it will be done, everything has been decided on paper. Okay, now in organizing we started that resources need to be arranged. Okay, as well as we need to create the organization structure. And in staffing we learned to arrange the human resource. Okay, so this is all about arrangement. Here the work has not started, means the actual work to pursue the objectives of the organization has not begun yet. That begins with directing. So directing is very important function in management, right? As I told you, it works as a link. Okay, another thing I would like to explain about directing, it aims to ensure that activities done by all the employees are mobilized towards the achievement of the organizational goals, right? Means whatever activities the human resource in the organization is performing, that has to be performed only to attain the objectives of the organization, and that has to be ensured only by directing. Okay, if directing is not there in the organization, means if there is no one to direct the employees, then definitely they may be working, but organization is never going to achieve its target. Okay, because until unless the subordinates are instructed, given direction, motivated time and again, okay, and they are influenced to work hard, they are counseled, they are guided, they cannot move further. Understood the point? So that is why directing is important. Directing means to give instructions and guiding the people to do the work, right? Now, with the help of the information I have shared with you, we can frame the definition of directing. So this is the definition of directing. Let's read it out. Directing refers to the process of instructing, right? Like I told you, instructions are given. Guiding, as I explained to you, guidance is to be given to the subordinates. Counseling, inspiring and influencing the people in the organization. Why? To achieve its objectives, right? So very simple definition is there. Directing is the process of instructing, guiding, counseling, inspiring and influencing the people in the organization to achieve the organizational goal, right? The same is written here. Okay, now we need to understand, in another video we'll be having discussion on the elements or components of directing. Okay, then I explain you in detail about these words. Okay, this instructing, guiding, counseling, inspiring and influencing. Okay, I'll explain you in detail because these are the 4 components of directing. If one manager is going to exercise the function of directing, he has to use all these 4 components. Only then the function of directing is completed. Otherwise it is incomplete, and incomplete direction is not going to lead the organization towards the achievement of the goal, right? So successful implementation of directing function is must to achieve the organizational goal. Okay, so it is about the definition, right? Now we are going to have discussion on features of directing. Okay, either we can name them features or we can name them characteristics of directing. Means in directing how many things are included, okay, in actually where it stands, right? So let's start. So there are 4 features of directing. Let's read them out. Directing initiates action. Directing flows from top to bottom. Directing is a continuous process. And last, directing takes place at every level of management, right? To remember these features all together, I have prepared a code. Like as usual, every time I do that, okay, but let me tell you one more thing, that we can change the sequence. As I have changed the sequence, maybe possible you read these things in any other book, then the sequence is changed. We can change the sequence here because these are not the steps, these are the features. Okay, so I just write down the code. So the code is very easy and simple code. Initiation flows continuously at every level, right? You'll have to imagine that whenever anything is started, then it keeps on flowing in a continuous manner at different levels. Okay, try and imagine a kind of situation that somebody presses a button and then the implementation of that starts flowing and it goes on and on at different levels. Okay, and people start performing. So imagine that kind of situation. Okay, it will really help you out to remember all these features all together. I explain you how this initiation stands for initiates action, this flow stands for flows from top to bottom, this continuously stands for continuous process, and this at every level stands for directing takes place at every level of management. Understood the point? Now let's have a discussion about all these features one by one. So friends, as we know, the first feature is directing initiates action. Let's understand what does initiate means. To begin, to start. Okay, so directing is that function of management in which actual work on the floor or ground level gets started. Before directing, everything is there on the paper, or we are just preparing so that the organization may start operating as per the objectives framed, right? I just give you a very simple kind of example related to your life. Say for example, I asked you to prepare tea, right? That is what the objective, to prepare a tasty tea. Okay, now objective is framed. Okay, now you need to do the organizing part. You need to arrange the resources, means material, which are required to prepare the tea. Okay, you need to have gas burner, you need to have some vessel, tea pan, okay, or you need to have other ingredients, whether it is water, milk, sugar, tea leaves, ginger, etc. Okay, this is what the organizing part. Fine. And it is also decided then how it is to be done, because in planning we set objectives and we also decide that what kind of method is going to be adopted. Okay, already we have decided that we are going to prepare tea on gas burner. Okay, and how everything has been explained. Right. Now, when you have known the process of preparing tea, you have arranged the resources. Now, you need a person to prepare. Either you can get tea prepared by somebody else or you can prepare on your own. Let's consider that you are preparing tea on your own. Right. Now, unless I ask you to start preparing the tea, tea will not be prepared. Right. Okay. And one more thing. If I ask you only to prepare, if I say, okay, start preparing, and then I leave you, you are preparing the first time, right? Then I leave you and sit aside. Then also, maybe possible you do not prepare a tasty tea. So what I'll have to do, very first I'll have to initiate the action. Okay, and directing does not end only with the initiation. That will be understanding in other features. When I explain you other features, then you will understand that directing doesn't end only by initiating the action. But right now we are discussing the feature directing initiates the action, right? So until unless I give you the instructions, you will not prepare it. Understood the point? If you are having any kind of problem, okay, then you will ask me, I'll explain you. That is known as guidance and counseling. Okay, a moment back we have learned the definition of directing: to give instruction, guide, counsel, right? Okay, and I need to inspire you and lead you. Okay, only then a tasty tea can be prepared. Okay, it was very simple and ground level example. The same thing happens in the organization. Okay, when the top level management plans and communicates their plan to the middle level as well as the lower level management, thereafter the resources are arranged, human resource is also arranged. At that point of time, they just wait for the instructions from the top level management. Whenever the instructions are passed from the top level management, only then the work gets started, right? So that is why we say that directing initiates action, because before that everything was there preparation. Okay, execution did not happen. So execution happens only in the function of directing. Understood the point? So in the organization, while exercising the function of directing, a manager gives instructions to his subordinates, he supervises them, he inspires them, he leads them so that the organizational goal can be achieved. So in that way the directing function goes on. Understood the point? Now let's move on to another feature. So second feature of directing is directing flows from top to bottom. What does it mean? It means that directions are always given by the superior. A subordinate can never give instructions to his senior. Understood? Means the function of directing goes on from top to bottom. Means the highest superior will direct his immediate subordinate, and then that subordinate will be definitely superior to someone, then he will direct his subordinate, and that way it goes on, right? Means already I have explained you the hierarchy of the organization. Okay, so in hierarchical manner it goes on, right? If I am working as marketing executive, then I'll have to follow the instructions of my marketing head. Okay, and that marketing head has to follow the instructions of his assistant manager, and that assistant manager has to follow the instructions of his senior manager, and that senior manager has to follow the instructions from the general manager or chief executive officer, etc. Okay, so here if we see from the bottom part, then we just follow the instructions. Means instructions are given from the top to bottom. Understood the point? Okay, this goes in that manner. Okay, only a superior can issue instructions, supervise the work of the subordinate, inspire them to work so that they can achieve their goals as well as the organizational goals in time. Okay, and he also influences the behavior of the people so that they get started to work. Understood the point? So we can simply say that directing flows from top to bottom. Understood the point? Now let's move on to another feature. So the next feature is directing is a continuous process. Continuous means it goes on and never stops, right? See, directing is such a function in the management which never stops. Okay, maybe possible the position of the top level management is vacant. Then we have already learned in the organizing and staffing that the immediate subordinate is trained so that in emergency situation he can take up the situation of his superior, right? So additional charge will be given to the subordinate and he will be passing on the instructions. So in that way the direction never stops, right? The function of directing goes on as long as the organization survives. Why? Because if the directing stops in the organization, then the entire operation of the organization will stop, right? So just because of this feature, directing is called a continuous process. Okay, because subordinates always need to be directed. They need to be instructed what they are supposed to do. Otherwise, they will do their own wish, and in that way, the organization is not going to achieve its target. Okay, they need to be supervised so that whatever activity they are doing, they need to be guided. Okay, they need to be counseled so that they move on the right track. Okay, and as well as they need to be motivated, right? Because sometimes what happens, the person gets demotivated due to various factors. So under directing, the motivation part is also must. Okay, and under directing, what happens, a manager has to lead the subordinates in the right direction. Okay, so all these things have to go on in the organization. If these things are not going on, it means the organization cannot function well. Okay, so everybody wants organization to function well. In that way, directing has to go on. Okay, that is why directing is called a continuous process. You can imagine a kind of situation. Okay, if a chief executive officer of some company resigns, okay, then will the production of the organization stop? Will the dealing with the customer stop? Will all other activities which were going on in the presence of the chief executive officer stop? No, not at all. Nothing is going to stop. Only what's going to happen, the position of chief executive officer will be filled as soon as possible, and until unless it is filled, somebody who is most capable to handle that post for a time being, he will be given the charge. Understood the point? But it has to go on. Okay. Now let's go to the another feature of directing. So the last feature of directing is directing takes place at every level of management, right? We have already learned there are 3 levels of management: top level, middle level and lower level. Okay, so at all these levels, management is there. Whenever the management is there, means they must be having their subordinates. Okay, so wherever we find superior and subordinate relationship, there directing has to take place, right? Means directing does not take place only at top level management. Means only top level managers do not give the directions to their immediate subordinates. Okay, middle level managers also give instructions to their immediate subordinates. Okay, similarly, the lower level managers give instructions to their immediate subordinates or workers, we call. Understanding the point means the function of directing is all pervasive. It is exercised at all levels of management by all the managers, because at every level a manager is superior to his subordinate. So wherever the subordinates exist, instructions need to be passed on. His job has to be supervised. He has to be inspired and influenced so that he may work well for the achievement of the organizational goal. Understood the point? If we take the example of any company, then the various level managers all the time are giving instructions, they are guiding, counseling, okay, they are inspiring and influencing their immediate subordinates to achieve the target in the interest of the organization. Understood the point? So that is why we say that directing takes place at every level of management, right? So friends, this was all about the meaning, definition and features of directing. Okay, this is all for today. Very soon I am going to meet you in the another video taking this chapter further. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye.